What's causing today is this. So the Mt. Gox trustee, after 10 years of going back and forth through the courts and negotiating, and they actually sold off a ton too back in 2018, 2019 through the spot market as well, because they didn't know what the hell they were doing too. So they actually caused a lot of crypto winter back in 2018, 19, and 2020. And but this time around, it's finally coming to an end, supposedly. Okay, no more delays, no more hearings, no more negotiating, nothing. Okay, about $9 billion worth of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash will be repaid to all the creditors that have been waiting, and it's going to happen next month. Okay, $9 billion worth. So it's 191. It doesn't say. I remember. Yeah, 141,000 Bitcoin, and they already transferred it last month. So it's sitting there waiting to be distributed. Now, this is what's causing fear right now. But remember, not everyone, you can make the argument, even most people that are getting it back, there's no indication they're just going to dump or sell. Maybe Bitcoin Cash because it's trash. But it's still money, right? It's still crypto. And we're still way higher than we were before. And we know that the bull market is here too. And for someone that's a true Bitcoiner that's been holding for 10 years, what's another year to wait, right? Especially now since Bitcoin has 61,000. So I don't know. For me, yes, I do think some people will sell after waiting so long. Maybe they don't believe in Bitcoin anymore. And once they get it, they're going to sell. But I believe most people that lost money in Mt. Gox are still Bitcoiners. They still believe in Bitcoin. And if they get it back, it's great. And they're just going to continue to hold it. So I think there's a lot of unwarranted FUD here. So it's not like $9 billion worth of Bitcoin is going to be liquidated on Coinbase and then the cash is distributed. That's not what it's about. So this is actually just distributing the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash out. So can it disrupt the price a little bit more? Sure. But is it as bad as what Germany did, selling on selling on spot market? No, it's not going to be like that at all. But I do think this is the major news of today because this came out today and it's causing a little bit more fear. That's really what it comes down to, right? But those of you guys that have been waiting for your Bitcoin Cash for like 10 years, well, you're finally going to get it next month. So you should be cheering for that, right? So that is the major FUD story of today. So I don't want to just say everything, all the price movement is just due to the FUD. And yes, Wall Street is selling. And yes, some retail investors are selling. Panic hands, lettuce hands are selling. But miners are also. So I don't know when miners are going to stop too. This is kind of staggering. Bitcoin miners sold about 30,000 Bitcoin, $2 billion within a matter of a month. Okay, and I've explained this many times before, why miners are selling. No, it's not because they're giving up on Bitcoin. It's because they're either forced to because they can't survive, or they're doing it because they want to expand. I mean, I don't know how much it costs to create a single Bitcoin, but it's probably the high 50s to low 60s. And for many, many of the smaller miners, their cost is a lot higher. So they actually are operating at a loss. So they have to sell. So that also is contributing to Bitcoin's weakness right now. But here's the thing. Miner reserves are now down to a 14-year low. 14-year low. That brings us back to 2010 levels. Just think about that for a second. Bitcoin was created in 2009, and people started mining with just their CPUs. And 2010, Bitcoin's price was like at $10, maybe less. So the miners right now, okay, hold the same amount of Bitcoin as they did in 2010, which is very low. Very, very low. So ultimately, this is a good thing. Short term, yes, bad thing. Long term, this is absolutely great. Where do you think, once Bitcoin turns up and the ETFs start having massive inflows again, where do you think they're going to get their Bitcoin from? If they can't buy from the miners. If the miners run out, then who are they going to buy from? They're buying directly from the miners right now. And, of course, the exchanges. But the miners have none to sell. And then pretty soon, the exchanges have none to sell because exchanges are down to 2017 levels. Then they're going to have to buy on spot market eventually, or OTC market. But if there's no one there to sell, they have no choice to buy on a spot market. And that's when price really gets nutty. That's when things really start flying. We're not there yet. But long term, this is actually a really good thing. Let the miners sell out their supply. That means the big institutions can no longer buy from them, right? And then they're going to go to the exchanges, and then they're going to drain the reserve of the exchanges next. And then after that, well, that's when the moon comes, right? So that is also contributing short term to the volatility and the dump and the crash that we're seeing. If you want to comment on anything I've said in this video, make sure you head over to the Roundtable. The Roundtable is a new social media platform created for conversations. And best of all, it's spam-free, bot-free, unlike here on YouTube. And you could have conversations with me and others like Altcoin Daily, Scott Melker, Mauro Nafal, and many others are joining daily. And you also get rewarded in tokens for doing so. So check out the new Roundtable. Click the link in the description below. Bitcoin is the one that you hold long term, and you got to load up no matter what as much as you can before it gets too expensive. So Metaplanet, they're really just copying MicroStrategy at this point because they know it works and they understand. They just issued $1 billion worth of bonds. And guess why? They're raising that money to buy more Bitcoin. Where have we heard this from, right? Again, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor has perfected this, and now we have a lot of big companies that are following the same footsteps, right? Just keep in mind, with all the volatility and everything that we're seeing, that doesn't change the fact that inflation is still an issue. Inflation will always be an issue. And everything we're going through doesn't change the fact that governments and central banks, they still don't know how to solve the problem they cause. This endless cycle of monetary policy or monetary tightening and loosening and overprinting and borrowing. I mean, there's just too much going on. That's never going to be solved. It's going to be a forever perpetual cycle of badness, so to speak, and inflation will always be a thing. So if you truly understand that, then you know you need to hold on assets like Bitcoin. Despite the short-term volatility, long-term, nothing outperforms it. So Metaplanet understands. You got a lot of Japanese institutional investors that also understands. And of course, Wall Street, a lot on Wall Street now understand. That's why they're buying so much Bitcoin, including BlackRock. BlackRock's IBIT just has zero outflows. Even though the other ETFs do have outflows, BlackRock is like, no. Larry Fink is like, no, I'm going to hold on whatever we have. I don't care. He understands, right? And that's the way to do it. And of course, Saylor, the most bullish bull of them all, is saying Bitcoin will reach $10 million each. Don't know when, but he believes that's how high each one will go. And he has a lot of things to say about that. What's the difference between perfect money and imperfect money? Perfect money is economic immortality. Imperfect money is we all have a short, brutal life. Economics is pseudoscience before Satoshi. It's quasi-religious liberal art. And it's full of people's opinions and prejudice and biases. All the economists before Satoshi was trying to work out laws of the economy with seashells and glass beads and pieces of paper and credit instruments. The average life expectancy of a corporation is something like 10 years. We're talking about eliminating corporate mortality. We're talking about stretching economic vitality easily by a factor of 10, maybe a factor of 100, maybe by a factor of a million. Yeah, it's almost like religion at this point. that's how he's talking. He's converting religion with investing, and it all sounds really good. Let's just say that. I can't talk like that. But you know what? Can Bitcoin hit $10 million each? Yeah, I would say there's definitely a chance, but you gotta wait. You gotta wait a while. It's not gonna come any cycles, soon. Maybe like 10 cycles, 15, 20 cycles from now. But can it hit 8 digits or 7 digits, I should say? Maybe 2 cycles, 3 cycles, right? But first things first, 6 digits, 100,000, which I do believe is still on the cards for this year. That's right. Even with all this happening, even with Mt. Gox FUD and $9 billion being distributed, even with Germany with 2.9 billion left in Bitcoin that they could be selling, even with all these fuddish things and miners still dumping, with all these fuddish things, can Bitcoin still hit 6 figures, 100,000 by the end of this year? Yes, I still believe that's in the works.